Elena Moore thought she was just picking up another late-night fare until she looked into the rearview mirror and saw eyes that would change everything. What started as professional rides through rain-soaked city streets became stolen glances, whispered confessions, and a love so forbidden it could destroy them both. But when one innocent kiss in a parking garage was captured by a hidden camera, their secret exploded across social media with a caption that made Elena's blood run cold. Gold digger. Now the millionaire tech CEO must choose between the empire he built from nothing and the woman who saw his heart before his bank account. She's ready to walk away to save his reputation, but he's prepared to risk it all for love. What happens when a powerful black businessman and a working-class white driver refuse to let the world decide who deserves happiness? The shocking truth about what money can't buy is about to be revealed. If you're watching this incredible love story unfold, hit subscribe and tell me what city you're from. I want to know where all the hopeless romantics are hiding. The rain drummed against Elena's windshield, like tiny fingers tapping out a tired song. She sat in her old Honda, watching the wipers streak water back and forth, just like her life lately. The same pattern, day after day. Her phone buzzed, the dispatcher from Premium Car Service. Elena, sorry to call so late, got a VIP pickup downtown. Restaurant called Angelo's, you interested? Elena glanced at the clock. 10:30 p.m. She was tired. Her back ached from driving rideshare all day. At home, her father was probably asleep in his recliner, the TV still glowing. Tomorrow was his dentist appointment, the one she'd been putting off for 2 months because they couldn't afford it. I'll take it, she said. 20 minutes later, Elena pulled up to Angelo's. The restaurant looked fancy. The kind of place where people spent more on dinner than she made in a week. She checked her reflection in the mirror. Her blonde hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail. Her uniform was clean, but nothing special. She looked like what she was, a working girl trying to make ends meet. The restaurant door opened. A tall black man stepped out, adjusting his tie. Even in the dim light, Elena could see he was handsome. His suit fit him perfectly. His shoes probably cost more than her rent. But something about his face looked tired, sad even. He slid into the back seat with a quiet, "Good evening." "Good evening, Mr. Johnson," Elena said, reading the name from her phone. "How was your dinner?" Caleb Johnson looked up, surprised. Most drivers didn't ask, they just drove. "Long," he said after a moment. "Very long." Elena pulled away from the curb. The radio was playing soft jazz. She always kept it low so passengers could make phone calls or think. But Mr. Johnson wasn't making calls. He was just sitting there, looking out the window. "Would you like some water?" Elena asked, holding up a bottle. "I always keep a few cold ones up here." "Thank you." His voice was warmer now. "That's very thoughtful." She handed it back to him. Their fingers brushed for just a second. His hands were soft. Rich man hands. But they were warm too. "I like your sticker," he said, pointing to her dashboard, a little Beatles logo she'd put there years ago. "Oh, that old thing? My dad got me into them when I was little. He had all their records." "Records? Real ones?" "Vinyl, yeah. He still plays them sometimes when he's working on cars." Caleb smiled. It was the first real smile Elena had seen from him. "My sister used to play Beatles records too. Drove our mother crazy." They fell into comfortable silence. Elena drove carefully through the wet streets. She noticed he wasn't looking at his phone like most passengers. He was just relaxing, like he didn't get to do that very often. "Do you mind if I ask what you do?" Elena said. "For work, I mean." "Tech mostly. Some real estate development. Nothing too exciting." Elena glanced in the mirror. He was being modest. She'd picked up enough rich clients to know the difference between regular rich and real rich. Mr. Johnson was real rich, but he didn't act like it. "I bet it's more exciting than driving around all day," she said. "I don't know about that. Today I sat through 3 hours of meetings where grown men argued about the color of office carpets." Elena laughed. "Carpet meetings. That does sound rough." They'd reached his building. It was one of those new high-rises downtown, all glass and sharp edges, the kind of place that had a doorman and probably a gym Elena would never afford to join. Caleb didn't get out right away. Do you work this route often?" "If they call me, I'm here. Elena said. She meant it. She needed every ride she could get. Good, he said quietly. That's good. He paid through the app, adding a tip that made Elena's eyes widen. $20, more than most people tipped for a ride across the entire city. Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Have a good night. Caleb, he said. Just Caleb is fine. Elena watched him walk to his building. The doorman opened the door with a smile that looked practiced, professional, not warm like the smile Caleb had given her about the Beatles sticker. She pulled away slowly, the rain still falling. For some reason, she felt lighter than she had in weeks. Elena's alarm went off at 6:30 a.m., just like every other morning. She could smell coffee from the kitchen. Her father was always up early, even though he didn't have to be anymore. Morning, Dad, she said, padding to the kitchen in her slippers. Maggie Moore looked up from the newspaper. At 58, he was still strong from years of working on cars, but Elena could see the gray in his hair getting thicker, the way he moved a little slower in the mornings. How'd you sleep, sweetheart? Good. Sorry I got in so late. Had a pickup downtown. Rich folks keeping you busy, huh? He folded the paper. Speaking of which, Dr. Martinez called yesterday about my appointment. Elena's stomach dropped. Dad, I told you. I know what you told me, but this tooth isn't getting better on its own. He touched his jaw gently. We'll figure it out, Elena. We always do. They always did. But Elena was tired of just figuring it out. She was tired of choosing between her father's health and keeping the lights on. There had to be a better way. An hour later, Elena walked into the dispatch office for premium car service. It wasn't much to look at, just a small room with a desk, a coffee maker that barely worked, and a schedule board covered in names and times. Well, well, said Jenna Cole, looking up from her own schedule. If it isn't Mrs. VIP herself. Elena laughed. Jenna had been driving for the service for 3 years. She was funny and loud and knew everything about everybody. It was one ride, Jenna. One ride that called specifically for you today, Jenna said, waving a piece of paper. Mr. Caleb Johnson requested Elena Moore for his afternoon pickup. Must have liked your sparkling personality. Elena felt that flutter again, the same one from last night when Caleb had smiled. He probably just doesn't want to explain the water bottle thing to a new driver. Uh-huh, or maybe he thinks you're cute. Jenna. What? I'm just saying. Rich, handsome, polite. There are worse problems to have. Elena shook her head, but she was smiling. Jenna always made everything seem simple. Life wasn't simple, though. It never had been. That afternoon, Elena waited outside Caleb's office building. It was one of those gleaming towers that seemed to touch the clouds. She felt small sitting there in her old Honda. But when Caleb came out, his face lit up when he saw her. Elena, he said, settling into the back seat. Good to see you again. How were the carpet meetings today? He laughed, loosening his tie. Paint colors, actually. Apparently, warm beige and desert sand are completely different things. Learning something new every day. As they drove, Elena noticed little things. How Caleb rolled his shoulders like they hurt. How he closed his eyes when she turned on the jazz station. How he seemed to breathe deeper once they were away from his building. Long day? She asked. They're all long days lately. He paused. But this part isn't bad. Elena felt warmth spread through her chest. She tried to ignore it. 2 days later, Caleb requested her again, and then again the day after that. By the end of the week, Elena found herself looking forward to 5:30 p.m. in a way she hadn't looked forward to anything in months. Their conversations got easier, more natural. Caleb told her about his sister Simone, who worked for his company and worried too much. Elena told him about her father's garage, how he still fixed cars even though he was supposed to be retired. What happened to his regular business? Caleb asked one evening as they sat in traffic. Economy happened. People started going to those big chain places instead of paying Maggie Moore to actually fix their cars right. Elena's voice got quiet. He's too proud to admit it's hard now. Pride can be expensive, Caleb said softly. Yeah, it really can. On Friday, as Caleb got out of the car, he paused. Thank you, Elena. For the ride? That's what you pay me for. No, he said. For this. It's nice not having to pretend in the back seat. Elena watched him walk away, her heart doing that fluttering thing again. Pretend what, she wondered, and what did it mean that he could be real with her? Monday morning came too soon. Elena was cleaning out her car, getting ready for another week, when her phone rang. "Elena, this is dispatch. Mr. Johnson wants to meet with you at his office this morning. Something about a personal contract." Elena's hands went cold. Personal contract? That sounded not good. Had she done something wrong? Said something she shouldn't have? An hour later, she stood in the lobby of Caleb's building. Everything was marble and glass and soft music. People in expensive suits walked by without really seeing her. She felt like a fraud in her clean jeans and simple blouse. Ms. Moore, a young woman with perfect makeup, approached her. "Mr. Johnson is ready for you. Right this way." The elevator ride to the 20th floor felt like it took forever. Elena's palms were sweaty. She wiped them on her jeans and immediately felt embarrassed about it. Caleb's office was, wow. Floor-to-ceiling windows showed the whole city spread out below. The furniture looked like it belonged in a magazine. But Caleb himself looked nervous. That made Elena feel a little better. "Please sit down," he said, gesturing to a small conference table. "Can I get you coffee? Water?" "Water's fine." Elena sat carefully, like the chair might break if she moved wrong. Caleb poured water from a crystal pitcher. His hands shook just a little. "I have a proposition for you. A job offer, actually." Elena's heart sank. "Oh, you don't want me to drive you anymore?" No, the opposite." Caleb sat across from her, leaning forward. "I want to hire you as my personal driver, full-time." Elena blinked. What?" "I have a crazy month coming up. Meetings all over the city, site visits, evening events. I need someone reliable, someone who knows the city, someone who—" He paused. "Someone I can trust. But I already drive you. This would be different. Better pay, a lot better. Regular hours, health insurance." Caleb named a number that made Elena's eyes go wide. "You'd still work for the car service technically, but you'd be assigned to me exclusively." Elena stared at him. It was more money than she'd made in 3 months. It was enough to pay for her father's dental work, to catch up on rent, to stop lying awake at night adding up bills. "Why me?" she asked quietly. Caleb was quiet for a long moment. "Because when I'm with you, I don't feel like I'm performing. I feel like myself." There was something in his voice, something that made Elena's chest tight. This wasn't just about driving, it was about something deeper, something that scared her. "I need to think about it," she said. "Of course. Take your time." But Elena was already thinking about her father's swollen jaw, about the stack of bills on her kitchen counter, about the way Caleb smiled when she handed him water. "Actually," she said, "I don't need time. Yes, I'll do it." Caleb's whole face changed. Relief and something else, happiness, spread across his features. "Really? Really? When do I start?" "Tomorrow, if that works. I'll have the paperwork sent over today." As Elena left his office, her mind was spinning. Good spinning for once. Things were looking up. Her father could see the dentist, they could catch up on bills, maybe even take a small vacation. But as she waited for the elevator, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was stepping into something bigger than just a job, something that could change everything. The elevator doors opened, and Elena stepped inside. Through the glass walls, she could see Caleb at his window, looking out at the city. For a moment, their eyes met through the glass. Elena's heart did that fluttering thing again, stronger this time. The doors closed and she was falling toward the ground floor, toward her new life, toward whatever came next. Elena's first official day as Caleb's personal driver started at 8 a.m. sharp. She'd spent the night before cleaning her car until it sparkled and picking out her most professional outfit. Not that she had many choices. When she pulled up to Caleb's building, he was already waiting. He looked different in the morning light, more businesslike. His suit was perfectly pressed, his tie straight. But when he saw her, that familiar warm smile spread across his face. "Good morning, Elena," he said, sliding into the back seat. "Ready for the grand tour?" "Ready as I'll ever be." Their first stop was across town, a construction site where Caleb was building affordable housing. Elena had expected something fancy, but this looked like regular apartments. Nice, but not luxury. This is it, Caleb said as they parked. 60 units. Families who work hard but can't afford downtown rent? Elena looked at the rising buildings. You're building homes for people like me. People like us, Caleb said quietly. I wasn't always this. He gestured to his expensive suit. While Caleb met with the construction foreman, Elena waited in the car. She watched him talk to the workers. He knew their names, asked about their families. This wasn't just business for him. It was personal. Their next stop was lunch with potential investors. Elena dropped Caleb at another fancy restaurant and went to find parking. When she came back an hour later, Caleb looked frustrated. How'd it go? She asked as they drove away. They want me to focus on luxury condos instead. More profit. Caleb rubbed his temples. They think affordable housing is bad for my image. Your image? Successful young black businessman. They want me to stay in my lane, build things for people who look like them, not people who look like, well, the people who actually need homes. Elena felt anger rise in her chest. That's awful. That's business. Caleb's voice was tired. Sometimes I wonder if it's worth it. The money? The whole thing. The suits, the meetings, the pretending. He looked at her in the rearview mirror. Sorry. I don't usually complain to my driver. I'm not just your driver anymore, remember? I'm your... Elena paused. What was she exactly? Your employee. And employees are supposed to listen when their bosses need to vent. Caleb laughed. Is that what the employee handbook says? I wouldn't know. I never get handbooks. That made him laugh harder. Elena found herself smiling. She liked making him laugh. It made the tired lines around his eyes disappear. The rest of the week fell into a rhythm. Morning pickups, business meetings, lunch runs, afternoon appointments, evening events. Elena learned Caleb's schedule better than her own. She knew he liked his coffee black, hated tie clips, and always checked his phone exactly 3 times before getting in the car. She also learned he was kind, really kind, not just polite rich person kind. He remembered her father's name, asked about his dental appointment, brought her father get-well flowers when the tooth extraction went badly. You didn't have to do this, Elena said, holding the bouquet. I wanted to. Caleb looked genuinely concerned. Is he feeling better? Much better, thanks to you. Elena meant the insurance, the steady paycheck, the ability to pay for proper medical care without going into debt. Thanks to the job. You earned this, Elena. But it felt like more than just a job, especially when Caleb started riding in the front seat instead of the back. More room for my legs, he said the first time he climbed into the passenger seat. But Elena suspected it was really because he wanted to talk. And they did talk. About everything. His childhood growing up poor in Detroit. Her mother, who died when Elena was 16. His dreams for the housing project. Her worries about her father getting older. He raised me alone after Mom died, Elena said one evening as they sat in traffic. Did everything right. Worked 2 jobs so I could finish high school. Never complained. Never made me feel guilty. Sounds like a good man. The best. I just wish I could do more for him, you know? Give him the kind of life he gave me. Caleb was quiet for a moment. You take care of him. You work hard. You make him proud. That's not nothing, Elena. Sometimes it feels like nothing. It's not, Caleb said firmly. Trust me. Having someone who cares about you, who shows up every day, that's everything. Elena glanced at him. There was something sad in his voice, something lonely. What about you? She asked. Do you have someone who shows up for you? Caleb was quiet for so long, Elena thought he wasn't going to answer. I thought I did, he said finally. Turns out they were more interested in what showing up for me could get them. That's terrible. That's life when you have money. People want things from you. They see dollar signs instead of a person. He looked at her. It's nice being around someone who doesn't need anything from me. But Elena did need things from him. She needed the job, the money, the insurance. Did that make her just like everyone else? Before she could figure out how to ask, Caleb's phone rang. Business. Always business. As Elena listened to him talk about square footage and profit margins, she realized something that scared her. She was starting to care about Caleb Johnson, not as a boss, not as a client. as a man, and that could complicate everything. Friday evening, Elena was cleaning out her car when she found Caleb's phone charger under the passenger seat. He'd left it there yesterday and mentioned needing it for his weekend trip to Chicago. She could drop it off at his building, give it to the doorman. That would be the professional thing to do. Instead, she found herself texting him. "Found your charger. Should I drop it off?" His response came quickly. "Actually, I'm at the office, 23rd floor if you don't mind coming up." 20 minutes later, Elena stepped off the elevator onto Caleb's floor. The office was mostly empty, just a few people working late, the soft glow of computer screens lighting their faces. Caleb's office door was open. He was at his desk, tie loosened, sleeves rolled up. He looked younger like this. Less polished, more real. "You're a lifesaver," he said, looking up. "I would have been stuck without this in Chicago." "No problem." Elena held out the charger, but Caleb didn't take it right away. "Can you stay for a minute? I wanted to ask you something." Elena sat in the chair across from his desk, the same chair where she'd accepted this job 2 weeks ago. It felt like a lifetime. "How are you finding the work?" Caleb asked. "Really? Be honest." "It's good. Really good. The money is—" Elena paused. "It's changing my life. My dad's life." "But—" Elena looked at him sharply. "But what? You said it like there was a but coming." Elena was quiet. There was a but, a big one. But how could she explain that she was starting to feel things she shouldn't feel? That every morning when she picked him up, her heart raced? That she looked forward to their conversations more than anything else in her day? "It's different than I expected," she said finally. "Different how?" "More personal, I guess. I thought I'd just be driving you places. But it feels like—" Elena struggled for the words. "Like we're becoming friends." Caleb smiled. "We are becoming friends." Friends. The word should have made Elena feel better. Instead, it made her stomach twist. Because what she was feeling wasn't exactly friendship. "Is that okay?" Caleb asked. "The friendship part? Of course. I want to make sure I'm doing my job right." "You're doing your job perfectly." Caleb leaned back in his chair. "Can I tell you something?" Elena nodded. "This job isn't just about needing a driver. I could hire anyone for that. I hired you because I like being around you. You make me feel—" He paused. "Normal? Like I'm just Caleb, not Caleb Johnson the businessman." Elena's heart was racing now. That's a nice thing to say." "It's the truth." Caleb stood up, walking to the window. "I know this situation is a little unusual, the personal driver thing. If it ever makes you uncomfortable—" "It doesn't." The words came out faster than Elena meant them to. "I mean, it's fine. Professional." Caleb turned to look at her. "Professional." "Right. Professional." But the way he was looking at her didn't feel professional, and the way she was looking back at him definitely wasn't professional. "I should go," Elena said, standing quickly. "Let you get ready for your trip." "Elena," Caleb stepped closer to her. "Are you okay? You seem nervous." She was nervous. Nervous and excited and scared, all at the same time, because Caleb was standing very close to her now, close enough that she could smell his cologne, see the gold flecks in his dark eyes. "I'm fine," she whispered. Caleb reached out slowly, like he might touch her face. Elena held her breath. Then his phone rang. They both jumped back like they'd been caught doing something wrong. Caleb grabbed his phone. "Simone," he said to Elena apologetically, "I have to take this." "Of course. I'll see you Monday." Elena was halfway to the elevator before she realized she was practically running. What had just happened? What had almost happened? In the elevator, she pressed her hands to her hot cheeks. This was dangerous. This feeling growing between them. She needed this job, needed the money, needed the stability. She could not afford to mess it up by falling for her boss. But as the elevator carried her down to the parking garage, Elena had a sinking feeling it might already be too late, because she wasn't falling for Caleb Johnson. She was already there. Elena spent the weekend thinking about Friday night, about the moment in Caleb's office when he'd almost touched her face, about the way her heart had hammered in her chest, about how disappointed she'd felt when his phone rang. Monday morning couldn't come fast enough, and that scared her. When she pulled up to Caleb's building, he was waiting with 2 cups of coffee. Her favorite kind. She'd mentioned it once, weeks ago. He remembered. "Thought you might need this," he said, sliding into the passenger seat. "How was your weekend?" "Quiet. Yours?" Elena tried to keep her voice normal. "Professional. Long. Chicago was—" Caleb paused, searching for words. "Let's just say some investors have very specific ideas about how I should run my business." Bad specific or good specific? The kind where they use words like urban market when they mean black people and upscale clientele when they mean white people. Elena felt her jaw tighten. That's disgusting. That's business. Caleb sipped his coffee. But enough about that. Tell me about your weekend. What do you do when you're not driving around difficult millionaires? Elena laughed despite herself. Laundry, groceries, helped my dad organize his tool shed. She paused. It sounds boring when I say it out loud. It sounds peaceful. Is peaceful code for boring? No, Caleb said quietly. Peaceful is code for enviable. Their eyes met in the rearview mirror. Elena felt that flutter again, stronger this time. She forced herself to look at the road. This was going to be a problem. Tuesday brought a new challenge. Caleb had a dinner meeting with investors, but his usual assistant was sick. He needed someone to drive him to a business dinner and wait outside. It might be 3 hours, Caleb warned as they pulled up to the restaurant. That's a long time to sit in a parking lot. I'll be fine. I brought a book. What kind of book? Elena felt heat creep up her neck. Nothing fancy, just a romance novel. Caleb grinned. Guilty pleasure? Something like that. But Elena found it hard to concentrate on her book. Through the restaurant's large windows, she could see Caleb at a table with 3 older white men in expensive suits. He looked stiff, formal, nothing like the relaxed man who joked with her about Beatles music and carpet colors. After an hour, Elena got out to stretch her legs. She was walking past the restaurant when she heard raised voices through the slightly open window. Image is everything in this business, Johnson. You can't afford to look unpredictable. Building affordable housing isn't unpredictable. It's smart business. Smart business is what makes money. These feel-good projects make you look soft, inexperienced. Elena stopped walking. She knew she shouldn't listen, but something in the investor's tone made her angry. Furthermore, the man continued, we need to discuss your personal life. You're 32, successful, single. The media notices these things. They wonder why you're not settled down with someone appropriate. Appropriate? Caleb's voice was dangerously quiet. Someone who fits your status, your demographic, a professional woman, educated, from the right kind of family. Elena's stomach dropped. She knew what appropriate meant, what right kind of family meant. It meant not her. My personal life is my business, Caleb said. Not when it affects investor confidence. We need you focused, stable, no distractions. Elena walked quickly back to the car, her face burning. She sat in the driver's seat, staring at her hands. She wasn't appropriate. She wasn't educated or professional or from the right kind of family. She was a driver, a working-class girl with community college and debt, and a father who fixed cars. She was exactly the kind of distraction they were worried about. 2 hours later, Caleb emerged from the restaurant looking exhausted. He got into the passenger seat without a word. How'd it go? Elena asked, though she already knew. Fine. His voice was clipped, professional, different from this morning. They drove in silence for 10 minutes before Caleb spoke again. Elena, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest. Elena's heart sank. Okay. Do you feel like our relationship has become too personal? There it was. The conversation she'd been dreading. What do you mean? I mean, maybe we've crossed some lines, become too friendly. I don't want you to feel uncomfortable. Elena pulled over at a red light and looked at him, really looked at him. His face was carefully neutral, businesslike. This was the man the investors had been talking to, not the man who remembered her coffee order. Have I done something wrong? She asked quietly. No, God, no, you've been perfect. It's just... Caleb ran his hands through his hair. Maybe we should keep things more professional, for both our sakes. Elena nodded, not trusting her voice. The light turned green, and she started driving again. Professional. She could do professional, even if it broke her heart a little bit. The next few days were torture. Elena picked Caleb up and dropped him off with polite small talk and nothing more. He sat in the back seat again, making phone calls and checking emails. Like the first night they met, except worse. Because now Elena knew what she was missing. She missed his laugh. The way he loosened his tie and rolled his shoulders when he got in the car. The stories about his sister and his childhood and his dreams for the housing project. Most of all, she missed feeling like herself around him. Now she felt like she was performing, being the perfect employee, invisible and helpful and completely replaceable. Thursday evening, Elena was filling up her car when her phone rang. It wasn't Caleb. It was Jenna. "Girl, you sound terrible. What's wrong?" Elena found herself spilling everything. The dinner meeting, the investors, the way Caleb had pulled away. Wait, Jenna said. "Let me get this straight. You're upset because your super hot, super rich boss is trying to keep things professional?" "It's not that simple. Elena, honey, listen to me. You've been working for this man for 3 weeks, and you're already catching feelings, real feelings. That's not professional. That's personal." Elena closed her eyes. "I know. So what are you going to do about it?" "Nothing. I need this job, Jenna. I can't afford to mess it up." "And what about what you can't afford to miss?" Elena didn't answer, because she didn't know how to explain that missing Caleb felt worse than being broke ever had. Friday came and went without incident. Professional pickups, professional drop-offs, professional small talk about traffic and weather. But Friday night, Elena got a text that changed everything. Emergency. Need pickup from St. Mary's Hospital. Can you come? Elena was at the hospital in 15 minutes. She found Caleb in the emergency room waiting area, his shirt wrinkled, his tie missing completely. He looked younger, scared. "Caleb?" "What happened?" "Simone," he said, standing up quickly. "My sister. Car accident. She's okay, but they want to keep her overnight for observation." "Oh my God, is there anything I can do?" Caleb looked at her like he was seeing her for the first time in days. "You came." "Of course I came. You said it was an emergency." "I know, but after this week, I thought maybe—" He shook his head. "Thank you for coming." They sat in the uncomfortable plastic chairs, waiting for news. Elena didn't think about professionalism or appropriate boundaries. She just thought about Caleb, scared and alone in a hospital waiting room. "Tell me about her," Elena said quietly. "Simone." Caleb's face softened. "She's 3 years older than me. Basically raised me after our dad left. She's the reason I have any success at all. She must be proud of you. She worries about me, says I work too hard, don't let people close enough." Caleb looked at Elena. She's probably right. A doctor appeared, calling Caleb's name. Simone was fine. Mild concussion, some bruises, but she could go home in the morning. "Thank God," Caleb breathed. They walked to the parking garage together, both exhausted. At Elena's car, Caleb stopped. "Elena, about this week. You don't have to explain." "Yes, I do." Caleb stepped closer. "Those investors said things about my personal life, about staying focused, and I let them get in my head. They weren't wrong, though. We were getting too personal." "Were we?" Caleb asked. "Or were we getting real?" Elena looked up at him. In the harsh hospital lighting, she could see the exhaustion in his eyes, the fear he'd felt for his sister, the loneliness he usually hid so well. "What are you saying, Caleb?" "I'm saying I miss you. The real you. Not the professional driver version. I miss our conversations, your laugh, the way you make me feel like a person instead of a bank account." Elena's heart was racing. Those investors can mind their own business about my personal life. But they were right about one thing. I'm not appropriate for someone like you. I'm not educated or professional or— Caleb stepped even closer, close enough that Elena could smell his cologne, see the gold flecks in his dark eyes. "Elena," he said quietly, "you're kind, you're funny, you're strong and smart, and you take care of the people you love. You make me want to be better. If that's not appropriate, then I don't want to be appropriate." Elena's breath caught. "Caleb, I know this complicates things. I know it's risky, but I care about you more than I should, more than is smart. His voice dropped to a whisper. Do you care about me too? Elena looked into his eyes. She thought about the past week, how empty it had felt without their real conversations, how much she'd missed his smile, how scared she'd been when he texted about the hospital. Yes, she whispered. I care about you too. Caleb's hand came up to touch her face, gentle and warm. So what do we do now? Before Elena could answer, before she could think about all the reasons this was a bad idea, she rose on her tiptoes and kissed him. It was soft and sweet and full of 3 weeks of wanting. Caleb's arms came around her, pulling her closer. Elena melted against him, feeling like she was finally home. When they broke apart, both were breathing hard. Elena, Caleb said against her forehead, this changes everything. I know. Are you sure you want this? Really sure? Because once we cross this line, there's no going back. Elena looked at him. At this man who remembered her coffee order and worried about his sister and built homes for people like her, who made her feel beautiful and smart and worthy. I'm sure, she said. Are you? Instead of answering with words, Caleb kissed her again. Deeper this time, full of promise and hope and the kind of love Elena had thought only existed in the romance novels she hid under her bed. When they finally pulled apart, Elena was dizzy. So what happens now? She asked. Caleb smiled. The first real smile she'd seen from him all week. Now we figure it out as we go. Together, together. As Elena drove home that night, her lips still tingling from Caleb's kiss, she couldn't stop smiling. Yes, this was complicated. Yes, it was risky. Yes, it could change everything. But for the first time in her life, Elena Moore felt like she was worth the risk. Saturday morning, Elena woke up to the smell of pancakes. Her father only made pancakes on special occasions, or when he was worried about something. Morning, sweetheart, Maggie said as Elena padded into the kitchen. Sleep well? Great, Dad, what's the occasion? Elena poured herself coffee, trying to act normal. Like her entire world hadn't shifted last night in a hospital parking garage. Can't a father make his daughter breakfast without an occasion? Elena looked at him suspiciously. You can, but you usually don't. What's going on? Maggie flipped a pancake, not meeting her eyes. Mrs. Patterson from next door mentioned seeing you at the hospital last night. Everything okay? Elena's stomach dropped. Mrs. Patterson was the neighborhood's unofficial news network. If she'd seen Elena at the hospital, she'd probably seen Elena kissing Caleb too. My boss's sister had an accident. I gave him a ride. Not technically a lie. At 11 o'clock at night? Dad? Elena, I'm not trying to pry, but this job, it's taking up a lot of your time, a lot of your life. I just want to make sure you're being careful. Elena sat down at the kitchen table, the same table where she'd done homework as a kid, where she and her father had planned her mother's funeral, where they'd figured out how to survive after the garage started struggling. What do you mean, careful? Maggie sat down across from her, his expression serious. Rich people, honey. They live in a different world. What seems important to them, it might not be real. It might not last. You think he's using me? I think rich men have options, and when push comes to shove, they usually pick the option that makes their life easier, not harder. Elena wanted to argue, to tell her father that Caleb wasn't like that what happened between them was real. But she'd known Caleb for 3 weeks. Her father had been taking care of her for 27 years. I'm being careful, Dad, I promise. Maggie nodded, but Elena could see the worry in his eyes. That's all I ask. After breakfast, Elena drove to the grocery store, her father's words echoing in her head. Rich men have options. What had seemed so clear last night suddenly felt complicated again. Her phone buzzed, a text from Caleb. Good morning. How are you feeling about last night? Elena stared at the message for a long time before responding. Good. Confused. But good. How's Simone? Much better, asking questions about the mystery woman who drove her brother to the hospital. Elena's heart jumped. What did you tell her? The truth. That you're important to me. Elena smiled despite her father's warnings. Caleb could have said she was just his driver, Could have kept things simple. Instead, he told his sister she was important. That had to mean something. "Can I see you today?" he texted. "I know it's your day off, but what? But I missed you already." Elena's heart melted completely. Where? Somewhere normal. Somewhere that's just us, not boss and employee. An hour later, Elena met Caleb at Riverside Park. It was a place she'd gone as a kid with her parents. Simple, real, the kind of place where a girl from the neighborhood might bring someone she cared about. Caleb was sitting on a bench by the lake wearing jeans and a simple blue sweater. No suit, no tie. He looked younger, more relaxed, more like the man who'd kissed her in the parking garage. "Hi," Elena said, suddenly shy. "Hi yourself?" Caleb stood up, and for a moment they just looked at each other. In daylight, without the emotion of the hospital emergency, everything felt different, more real, more scary. "This is weird, isn't it?" Elena said. "Completely weird," Caleb agreed. "Good weird or bad weird?" Elena considered this. "Good weird, I think." They walked along the lake path, not touching, but close enough that their hands brushed occasionally. Elena was hyper-aware of every point of contact, every glance, every smile. "Tell me something about you," Caleb said. "Something I don't know." "Like what?" "Like, what did you want to be when you were little?" Elena laughed. "A veterinarian. I thought I'd save every stray animal in the city." "What happened to that dream?" "Vet school is expensive. And after Mom died," Elena shrugged. "Life happened." "Do you regret it?" "Not giving it a shot sometimes." Elena looked at him. "What about you? Did you always want to build empire?" "I wanted to build houses, real houses for real people. The empire part just sort of happened." They found another bench and sat down, watching families feed ducks at the lake's edge. A little girl squealed with delight as a duck ate bread from her hand. Her parents laughed, taking pictures. "That looks nice," Elena said quietly. "The family thing?" "The normal thing. The simple thing." Caleb was quiet for a moment. "I used to have that. Before the money. When Simone and I shared a studio apartment and ate ramen every night. Everything was hard, but it was real. Do you miss it?" "I miss knowing that people liked me for me, not for what I could give them." Elena turned to look at him. "Is that what you think? That I like you for your money?" "No," Caleb said quickly. "That's why I like you so much. You liked me before you knew about the money. You brought me water bottles and asked about carpet meetings. You saw me. I still see you. Even now, when you know about the complications, the investors and the image management and all the things that come with dating someone like me." Elena's heart skipped. Dating? Was that what they were doing? "Especially now," she said, "because now I know why you need someone to see you." Caleb reached for her hand. Their fingers intertwined, and Elena felt that rightness again, like this was where she belonged. "Elena, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest." "Okay. Are you sure you want to try this? Really sure? Because it's not going to be easy. People will talk, they'll make assumptions. Some of them will be ugly." Elena thought about Mrs. Patterson, about the investors, about her father's warning over pancakes. "Are you trying to talk me out of this?" she asked. "I'm trying to make sure you know what you're getting into, so that when it gets hard, and it will get hard, you won't run." Elena looked at their joined hands, at this man who was giving her every reason to walk away, who was more concerned about protecting her than protecting himself. "I'm not a runner, Caleb," she said. "When I care about something, I fight for it. Even if it's messy, especially if it's messy." Caleb brought her hand to his lips, pressing a soft kiss to her knuckles. "Then let's be messy together." As they sat by the lake, holding hands in the afternoon sun, Elena realized something important. Her father was right. Rich men did have options, but so did she. She could choose to be afraid, to protect herself, to keep everything professional and safe. Or she could choose to be brave, to fight for something real, to trust that what she saw in Caleb's eyes was worth the risk. Looking at him now, relaxed and happy and completely focused on her, Elena made her choice. She was going to be brave. Monday morning felt different. Elena woke up with butterflies in her stomach and a smile she couldn't hide. She was going to see Caleb. Not Mr. Johnson, her boss. Caleb, the man who'd held her hand by the lake and told her she was important. But when she pulled up to his building, Caleb was all business. He slid into the back seat with a polite, "Good morning, Elena," and immediately started making phone calls. Elena's stomach dropped. Had he changed his mind? Decided this was too complicated after all? It wasn't until they were stuck in traffic that Caleb leaned forward and said quietly, "There are cameras in this building and people watching. We have to be careful during work hours." Relief flooded through Elena. "Oh, right. I didn't think about that. I've been thinking about it all weekend." Their eyes met in the rearview mirror. "It's going to be like this sometimes. We'll have to pretend we're just boss and employee. Can you handle that?" Elena nodded. "I can handle it." But as the week went on, she realized handling it was harder than she'd thought. During the day, Caleb was professional, polite, distant. He sat in the back seat, made business calls, and treated her exactly like any other employee. But in the evenings, when they were away from his office and prying eyes, he was different. He'd slide into the front seat and ask about her day. He'd tell her about difficult meetings and investor problems. Once, when they were stopped at a red light in a quiet part of town, he'd reached over and squeezed her hand. "I hate this," he'd said, "pretending you don't matter." "It's just during work hours," Elena had reminded him. "I know, but it feels wrong." Elena understood. It felt wrong to her too, but they both knew the alternative was worse. Wednesday brought their first real test. Caleb had a lunch meeting with a potential investor at an upscale restaurant downtown. Elena dropped him off and went to find parking. When she came back an hour later, she saw Caleb through the window, sitting across from a beautiful black woman in an expensive suit. The woman was laughing at something Caleb had said. She was elegant, polished, everything Elena wasn't, everything those other investors had called appropriate. Elena sat in her car, watching them through the window, and felt something ugly twist in her stomach. Jealousy. Fear. The horrible certainty that her father had been right. Rich men had options. Beautiful, educated, successful options. When Caleb came out 20 minutes later, he was smiling. Elena managed to smile back, but something had shifted inside her. "How was lunch?" she asked as they drove away. "Good, really good. Her company wants to partner with us on the affordable housing project." "She seemed nice." Elena's voice sounded normal, she hoped. "Keisha? Yeah, she's great, really smart. We have a lot in common." A lot in common. Elena gripped the steering wheel tighter. That evening, Caleb asked Elena to dinner. Nothing fancy, just a quiet place outside the city where no one would recognize them. Over pasta and wine, Elena tried to act normal, but she kept thinking about the elegant woman in the restaurant, about how natural she'd looked sitting across from Caleb, how right they'd seemed together. "You're quiet tonight," Caleb said. "Everything okay?" "Fine, just tired." Caleb reached across the table and took her hand. "Elena, what's wrong?" Elena looked at him, at his kind eyes and gentle smile, at this man who was holding her hand in a restaurant where anyone could see. "The woman you had lunch with today. Keisha, she's beautiful." Caleb's eyebrows went up. "She is. She's also married with 3 kids and completely professional." "That's not what I meant." "Then what did you mean?" Elena took a breath. "She looked right with you. Successful, polished, like she belonged in your world." Caleb was quiet for a moment. "Elena, are you asking me if I'm interested in Keisha?" "No, I'm asking if you think you should be." "What?" "I saw how you two looked together. Natural, easy. Like you didn't have to pretend or hide or worry about what people would think." Caleb set down his wine glass. "Elena, look at me." She did. "I'm not interested in Keisha. I'm not interested in any woman who fits my world better than you do. I'm interested in you, only you." "But, no buts. You want to know what I was thinking when I was having lunch with Keisha? I was thinking about how she reminded me of every other business meeting I've had in the past 5 years. Professional, predictable, safe." Caleb leaned closer. "You know what you remind me of? Life. Real life. The kind where people laugh at silly jokes and remember each other's favorite coffee orders and show up at hospitals at 11 p.m. because someone they care about needs them." Elena felt tears prick her eyes. "Your investors don't think I'm right for you. My investors don't get a vote in my personal life." Don't they? What if they pull their funding because they don't like who you're dating? Caleb was quiet. Elena could see him weighing his words carefully. That might happen, he said finally. Some of them, anyway. The ones who think my personal life is their business. Elena's heart sank. So it could hurt your company, your projects. It could. Or it could not matter at all. We won't know until we try. And if it does matter, if you lose investors and projects and everything you've worked for, Caleb squeezed her hand. Then we'll figure something else out. Together? Together. Elena wanted to believe him. She really did. But as they drove home that night, she couldn't shake the feeling that love wasn't always enough. Sometimes the world was stronger than two people trying to be together. Thursday brought bad news. Caleb came out of his building that morning looking grim. He sat in the back seat and made angry phone calls for the entire drive. Johnson, you need to think about this carefully, Elena heard one caller say. The board is getting nervous about your recent behavior. My behavior? Caleb's voice was sharp. What behavior would that be? You missed the charity gala last week. You've been distracted in meetings. And there are rumors? What kind of rumors? About your personal life. People are saying you're involved with someone inappropriate. Elena's hands tightened on the steering wheel. Someone had seen them. Someone was talking. My personal life is none of the board's business, Caleb said coldly. Everything is the board's business when it affects company image. You know this, Johnson. Clean it up. The call ended, and the car filled with tense silence. Caleb, Elena said quietly, don't. Just drive. Please. Elena drove, but her mind was racing. People were talking, making assumptions, creating problems for Caleb's business because of her. That afternoon, Elena was waiting in the parking garage when she saw a familiar figure approach the car. An older black woman in an expensive suit, walking with purpose. Elena rolled down her window as the woman approached. You must be Elena, the woman said. I'm Simone Johnson, Caleb's sister. Elena's heart jumped. Oh, hi, how are you feeling? After the accident, I mean. Much better, thank you, and thank you for bringing my brother to the hospital. It meant a lot. Elena nodded, not sure what to say. I was wondering if we could talk, Simone continued, just for a few minutes, before Caleb comes down. Okay. Simone got into the passenger seat. She was beautiful, Elena realized, polished and confident in a way Elena envied. Caleb told me about you two, Simone said without preamble, about your relationship. He did? He also told me about the phone call this morning, about the board getting nervous. Elena felt sick. I'm sorry, I never wanted to cause problems for him. I know you didn't, but Elena, I need you to understand something. Caleb has worked his entire life to build this company, to prove himself, to create something lasting. I know that. Do you? Because right now, he's willing to risk all of it for you. Elena stared at her hands. Maybe he shouldn't be. That's not for me to decide, or for you to decide. It's his choice. Simone's voice softened. But I need to know you understand what that choice means. What do you mean? I mean, if you're going to let him risk everything, you better be worth it. You better be all in, because if you get scared and run when things get hard, you'll destroy him. Elena looked at Simone, at this woman who'd raised Caleb, who'd watched him struggle and succeed and build something amazing. I care about him, Elena said quietly. I can see that. But caring isn't enough when the whole world is watching, when people are making judgments and spreading rumors and trying to tear down what he's built. What are you saying? I'm saying love him or leave him alone. But don't love him halfway. Don't love him when it's easy and run when it gets hard. Before Elena could respond, the elevator opened and Caleb stepped out. His face lit up when he saw Elena, then grew confused when he noticed Simone in the passenger seat. Simone, what are you doing here? Just getting to know Elena better, Simone said smoothly. She got out of the car and kissed her brother's cheek. I'll see you at home tonight. We need to talk. After Simone left, Caleb got into the car. What was that about? Elena started the engine. She's worried about you, about the company, about the rumors. Elena, She's right to be worried. I heard that phone call this morning. People are talking about us. So what? Let them talk. What if it costs you everything? Caleb was quiet for a moment. Would that change how you feel about me? Elena thought about it. Would she still love him if he lost his money, his company, his status? No, she said, but it would change how you feel about giving it up. You don't know that. Don't I? Caleb, you've worked your whole life for this. You can't just throw it away. I'm not throwing anything away. I'm choosing what matters most. But what if you regret that choice? What if someday you look at me and think about everything you gave up? Caleb reached forward and touched her shoulder. Elena, stop the car. What? Pull over. Stop the car. Elena pulled into an empty parking lot. Before she could say anything, Caleb was out of the back seat and opening her door. Get out, he said. Caleb, get out of the car. Elena got out. Caleb pulled her into his arms right there in the parking lot, not caring who might see. Listen to me, he said, looking into her eyes. I'm not giving up anything for you. I'm choosing what I want most. There's a difference. But your company will survive or it won't. But I'll survive either way as long as I have you. You don't know that. Yes, I do, because I spent the last 5 years building something I thought mattered, and it does matter. But you know what matters more? Waking up next to someone who loves me for me. Coming home to someone who cares if I had a good day. Having someone who shows up when I need them. Caleb cupped her face in his hands. Elena, I've been successful. I've been rich. I've been respected. But I've never been happy. Not really. Not until you. Elena felt tears sliding down her cheeks. I'm scared. I know. So am I. What if we mess this up? What if I'm not strong enough for this? Then we'll figure it out. Together. Caleb kissed her then, right there in the parking lot where anyone could see. It was soft and desperate and full of promises Elena wasn't sure either of them could keep. When they broke apart, Elena made a decision. Okay, she said. Okay, what? Okay, let's try. Really try, no matter what happens. Caleb's smile was brighter than the afternoon sun. Are you sure? Elena thought about Simone's words, about being all in, about loving him enough to weather whatever storm was coming. I'm sure, she said. But Caleb? Yeah? We're going to need a plan, because if we're doing this, we're doing it right. That evening, they made their plan over Chinese takeout in Caleb's apartment. They would be more careful during work hours. They would prepare for negative publicity. They would talk to their families. They would face whatever came next together. It was a good plan. A smart plan. They just had no idea how soon they'd need it. Friday started normally. Elena picked up Caleb. They drove to his first meeting. Everything was professional and careful. Elena waited in the car while Caleb met with his construction team at the affordable housing site. But when lunchtime came, Caleb suggested something different. There's a little diner near the sites, he said. Want to grab lunch together, somewhere nobody knows us? Elena hesitated. They'd agreed to be careful, but it was just lunch, in a neighborhood far from downtown. What could go wrong? Maggie's Diner was exactly the kind of place Elena's father would love. Worn booths, coffee that could strip paint, and a menu that hadn't changed in 20 years. Elena felt comfortable there immediately. They sat in a corner booth, talking and laughing like any couple on a lunch date. Caleb told her about the construction progress. Elena told him about Mrs. Rivera, her regular passenger, who'd been asking pointed questions about Elena's glow lately. She knows, Elena said, laughing. Old ladies always know. What did you tell her? That I've been using a new moisturizer. Caleb laughed so hard he snorted coffee. A new moisturizer? That's your cover story? It was the best I could come up with on short notice. They were still laughing when Caleb reached across the table and took her hand. It felt natural. Right, like they were just a normal couple having lunch. Elena, he said softly, I need to tell you something. What? I think I'm falling in love with you. Elena's heart stopped, then started again, faster than before. You think? She asked, trying to keep her voice light. I know, Caleb said. I love you, Elena, more. Elena stared at him. This man who could have anyone, who was choosing her, who was willing to risk everything for her. I love you too, she whispered. Caleb's smile was brilliant. He lifted her hand to his lips and kissed her knuckles gently. Neither of them noticed the person with the phone camera in the booth behind them. Neither of them saw the photo being uploaded to social media. Neither of them knew that their secret was about to become very public. Elena's phone started buzzing during the drive back to Caleb's office. Then Caleb's phone. Then Elena's again. "What's going on?" Elena asked as Caleb checked his messages. Caleb's face went pale. "Pull over." "What?" "Elena, pull over, now!" Elena found a parking spot and stopped the car. Caleb showed her his phone. It was a photo of them in the diner. Caleb kissing her hand, both of them clearly visible. The caption read, "Local tech millionaire Caleb Johnson getting cozy with his driver. Gold digger or inappropriate soccer scandal." Elena felt the world tilt. Oh, God. It gets worse. Caleb scrolled through his messages. "It's been shared 200 times already. Local news is picking it up." Elena's phone rang. "Jenna." "Elena, girl, you need to see social media right now. There's a photo of you and—" "I know," Elena said quietly. "I've seen it." "Honey, people are being nasty, really nasty. I'm flagging comments as fast as I can, but—" Elena closed her eyes. This was it, the moment she'd been dreading. Their private relationship was now public, and the public was not kind. "What do we do?" she asked Caleb. Caleb was already making calls. "Victor, I need damage control, now. There's a photo." Elena listened to Caleb talk to his team about crisis management and media strategy, about protecting the company's image, about minimizing fallout. But all she could think about was the word in that caption, gold digger. Elena had been called worse things in her life, but somehow that word hit deeper, because she knew that's what people would think. A poor girl using a rich man, a driver taking advantage of her position. It didn't matter that she'd fallen in love with Caleb before she knew he was rich. It didn't matter that she'd tried to keep things professional. It didn't matter that she'd been terrified of exactly this happening. None of that mattered now. Now she was just the gold digger who'd been caught on camera. "Elena?" Caleb was off the phone, looking at her with concern. "Say something." "I should quit," she said quietly. "What?" "No. It's the only way to make this go away. If I quit, if we break up publicly, the story dies." "Elena, no. We talked about this. We're in this together." That was before our picture ended up on the internet with gold digger written under it. Caleb reached for her hands. "I don't care what they call you. I know who you are. But your investors will care. Your board will care. Everyone will care except you." Elena looked at Caleb's face, at this man she loved, who loved her back. But love wasn't always enough. Sometimes the world was stronger. "Take me home," she said quietly. "I need to think." As Elena drove Caleb back to his office in heavy silence, she realized something terrible. Their secret was out, and everything was about to change. Elena's phone wouldn't stop ringing. News outlets, bloggers, people she hadn't talked to in years suddenly wanted to know about her relationship with Caleb Johnson. She turned it off and sat in her small apartment, staring at the wall. Her father found her there an hour later. "Elena? Sweetheart, what's wrong?" Without a word, Elena showed him the photo on her laptop. Maggie's face went through several emotions, surprise, understanding, then worry. "Well," he said finally, "that's not how I expected to find out. Dad, I'm sorry. I should have told you, but everything happened so fast and I wasn't sure if it was real and—" "Elena," Maggie sat down next to her. "Breathe." She breathed. "Now tell me, is this what you want? Really want?" Elena looked at her father, this man who'd sacrificed everything for her, who'd worked 2 jobs and never complained, who deserved better than a daughter who got herself mixed up in public scandals. "I love him, Dad, but I don't know if that's enough anymore." "Why not?" "Look at the comments." Elena scrolled through the social media responses. Gold digger. Using him for money. Probably sleeping her way to the top. They think I'm some kind of opportunist who seduced my rich client. Maggie read silently for a moment. "Well, that's garbage." "Is it? Maybe they're right. Maybe I'm just a girl from the neighborhood who got ideas above her station." "Elena Moore." Maggie's voice was sharp. "I raised you better than that." Elena looked up, surprised. You think I don't know who you are? You think I don't see what kind of person you've become? Maggie's eyes were fierce. You're kind. You're honest. You work harder than anyone I know. You take care of people who need it. And if some rich man is smart enough to see that, then good for him. But Dad? No buts. The only question that matters is this. Do you love him? Yes. Does he love you? He says he does. Do you believe him? Elena thought about Caleb's face when he'd said those words in the diner, about the way he'd held her in the parking lot, about how he'd shown up at the hospital for his sister and let Elena see him scared and vulnerable. Yes, I believe him. Then the rest is just noise. Maggie closed the laptop. People are always going to talk, Elena. They talked when I married your mother, said I was too young, she was too good for me. They talked when she died, said I couldn't raise a daughter on my own. They talked when the shop started struggling, said I should sell out to the chains. What did you do? I lived my life. I made choices based on what I knew was right, not what strangers thought was proper. Maggie took her hands. Your mother would have liked this, Caleb. She would have seen right through the money to the man underneath, just like you did. Elena felt tears threatening. I'm scared, Dad. Of course you are. Love is scary. But you know what's scarier? Regret. Wondering what might have been if you'd been brave enough to try. Before Elena could respond, there was a knock at the door. Elena opened it to find Caleb standing there, holding nothing but his car keys. His usually perfect hair was messy. His tie was crooked. He looked like he'd been running. Elena, he said, we need to talk. They drove to the same park where they'd held hands by the lake. But this time, everything felt different, heavier, like the weight of the whole world was pressing down on them. How bad is it? Elena asked as they walked along the water. Pretty bad. 3 investors have called emergency meetings. The board wants to discuss image concerns, and my publicist quit. Elena's heart sank. Caleb, I'm so sorry. Don't apologize. This isn't your fault. Isn't it? If I hadn't been there, if we hadn't been seen, if you hadn't been there, I'd still be miserable and pretending it was success. Caleb stopped walking and turned to face her. Elena, I need to tell you something. Elena braced herself. Here it came. The part where he realized this was too much trouble, where he chose his company over her. This afternoon, after the photo came out, I had 3 different people tell me how to fix this. Victor said I should issue a statement denying any personal relationship. My lawyer said I should claim you were just an employee who misunderstood professional kindness. And my publicist, before she quit, said I should distance myself from you immediately. Elena's stomach twisted. And what did you tell them? I told them they were all fired if they couldn't figure out how to handle the truth. Elena stared at him. What truth? That I'm in love with my driver. That she's the best thing that's ever happened to me, and that anyone who has a problem with that can find another tech company to invest in. Elena felt like she couldn't breathe. Caleb, you can't do that. Your company will survive or it won't, but I won't survive losing you. You don't know that. Yes, I do, because I tried, Elena. For about 2 hours this afternoon, I tried to imagine my life without you. Going back to empty evenings and professional lunches and pretending I'm happy because I have money in the bank. Caleb stepped closer. And you know what I realized? None of it means anything without you. The success, the recognition, the investor approval, it's all just noise. You're the music. Elena felt tears sliding down her cheeks. That's beautiful, but it's not realistic. Why not? Because I can't let you destroy everything you've worked for. Not for me. You're not destroying anything. You're helping me figure out what's actually worth building. Elena shook her head. Caleb, I've been thinking, really thinking. And maybe everyone's right. Maybe we're from 2 different worlds. Maybe this was always going to end badly. Do you really believe that? Elena looked at him. At this man who'd given up his lunch break to make sure she ate, who'd remembered her father's dental appointment, who'd kissed her in a hospital parking garage because he couldn't pretend anymore. No, she whispered. But I'm terrified. Of what? Of ruining your life, of not being enough, of waking up one day and realizing you regret choosing me. Caleb cupped her face in his hands. Elena, listen to me. You are enough, more than enough. You're everything. But no buts. Do you trust me? Yes. Then trust me when I say this. I would rather have a small life with you than a big life without you. I would rather face whatever comes next together than face anything alone. Elena searched his eyes. All she saw was love. Real, honest, unwavering love. What are you saying? I'm saying let's stop running from this. Let's stop letting other people decide what our relationship is worth. Let's stand up and tell the truth. What truth? That we fell in love, that it's real, that we're not ashamed of it. Caleb's voice grew stronger. That you're not a gold digger and I'm not some fool being taken advantage of. That this is just two people who found something worth fighting for. Elena felt hope stirring in her chest. Dangerous, terrifying hope. How do we do that? Together, Caleb said. We do it together. Elena called in sick to work on Monday. She couldn't face being Caleb's driver while figuring out how to be his girlfriend publicly. Instead, she spent the day reading the news coverage and trying not to throw her laptop across the room. Most of the articles were what she expected. Local driver caught with millionaire client. Tech CEO's inappropriate relationship. Power imbalance or true love? But some were different. A few bloggers had done actual research. They'd found out about Elena's mother, about Maggie's garage, about Elena's work ethic and reputation in the rideshare community. Elena Moore isn't some scheming gold digger, wrote one local columnist. She's a hard-working woman who's been supporting her family since she was 16. If Caleb Johnson was smart enough to see her value, maybe we should question our assumptions about what makes someone worthy of love. It wasn't much, but it was something. Tuesday morning, Elena's doorbell rang early. She opened it to find a woman she didn't recognize, middle-aged, professional, kind-faced. Elena Moore, I'm Sarah Martinez from Channel 12 News. I was wondering if we could talk. Elena almost closed the door. She'd been avoiding reporters all week. I'm not interested in an interview. I understand, but I think you should know. There are people telling your story wrong, and if you don't tell it yourself, they get to decide what the truth is. Elena hesitated. What do you mean? I mean there's more to this story than rich man and poor woman. There's more to you than your job title, and maybe it's time people heard about that. 20 minutes later, Elena found herself sitting across from Sarah Martinez in her tiny living room, a camera rolling. Tell me how you met, Sarah said. So Elena did. She told the real story. About the rainy night pickup, about Caleb being kind and lonely and real, about falling for the man, not the money. About trying to keep things professional and failing because some connections are too strong to deny. People are saying you're after his money, Sarah said gently. People can say whatever they want, Elena replied. I know the truth. I know that I loved him before I knew how rich he was. I know that he makes me laugh and that he remembers my coffee order and that he shows up when people need him. What would you say to people who think you're not good enough for him? Elena thought about her father's words, about her mother, who would have seen right through the money to the man underneath. I'd say maybe they should question what good enough means. Does it mean having money, or does it mean being kind? Does it mean having fancy degrees, or does it mean showing up for people you care about? Because if it's the second thing, then maybe I'm exactly good enough. Maybe I'm perfect. When the interview aired Wednesday evening, Elena watched it with her father. She looked nervous on camera, younger than her 27 years. But she looked honest, real, like someone telling the truth. You did good, sweetheart, Maggie said. Elena's phone buzzed, a text from Caleb. That was perfect. I'm so proud of you. Can I see you? Where? Your choice. Anywhere you want. Elena thought about it. Where did she want to see him? Where could they be themselves? Dad's garage. Tomorrow after work. It's time you met properly. Thursday evening, Elena waited nervously in her father's garage. She told Maggie that Caleb was coming by, that they needed to talk like adults about this relationship. Just be yourself, Dad, please. I'm always myself, Maggie had replied. That's the problem. When Caleb's car pulled up, a modest sedan, not his usual expensive ride, Elena felt her heart jump. He got out wearing jeans and a simple button-down shirt. He looked nervous. "Hi," he said. "Hi yourself." They stared at each other for a moment. It had been 4 days since they'd talked about facing this together, 4 days of media coverage and public speculation and pressure from all sides. "Elena," Caleb said, "I need to tell you something." Elena's stomach dropped. "What?" "I had a board meeting today, about us, about the company image. And I told them that if they couldn't support my personal choices, maybe they shouldn't be on my board." Elena stared at him. "Caleb, you didn't." "I did. 3 of them quit. 2 others threatened to pull their investments." "Oh, God." "But 4 others said they respected my integrity. And Victor, who I thought would be the most upset, said he'd never seen me happier, and that maybe happy Caleb is better for business than miserable Caleb." Elena felt dizzy. "So what does that mean?" "It means I'm rebuilding, starting fresh with people who care more about what I build than who I sleep with. And if you can't find those people, if the company fails?" Caleb stepped closer. "Then I'll start something smaller, something real, something that matters." Before Elena could respond, the garage door opened and Maggie appeared, wiping his hands on a rag. "You must be Caleb," he said. "Mr. Moore, it's an honor to meet you, sir." Maggie looked Caleb up and down. Elena held her breath. "Heard you've been causing quite a stir," Maggie said. "Yes, sir, I suppose I have." "Good. Man should be willing to cause a stir for the right woman." Elena exhaled in relief. "Elena tells me you're in the building business," Maggie continued. "Yes, sir, affordable housing mostly." "That's good work, real work, building things people need." "That's what I think too," Maggie nodded approvingly. "You want some coffee?" "It's terrible, but it's hot." As the 3 of them sat around Maggie's cluttered desk, drinking terrible coffee and talking about construction and cars and anything but the media circus, Elena realized something. This felt right, real, like the life she actually wanted. "I should probably go," Caleb said eventually. "Let you 2 get back to your evening." "Actually," Elena said, "could you stay a few more minutes? There's something I want to talk about." Maggie took the hint. "I'll be inside if you need me." When they were alone, Elena turned to Caleb. "I've been thinking about what you said, about facing this together. And I'm ready. Really ready, but I need to know something first." "What? Are you sure? Really? Completely sure? Because once we do this publicly, once we stop hiding, there's no going back. The investors who left won't come back. The board members who quit won't change their minds. This changes everything." Caleb took her hands. "Elena, I've never been more sure of anything in my life." "Even if it costs you everything?" "It won't cost me everything. It might cost me some things, but it won't cost me what matters most." Elena searched his eyes. All she saw was certainty. "Okay," she said, "let's do this." "Really?" "Really." "But Caleb?" "Yeah?" "We do this right, together. No more hiding, no more apologizing, no more letting other people decide what we're worth." Caleb's smile was brilliant. "Deal." He kissed her then, right there in her father's garage, surrounded by engine parts and old coffee cans. It was perfect. Friday morning, Elena woke up to 17 missed calls and 43 text messages. The first thing she saw when she checked the news was a headline that made her heart stop. Tech CEO Caleb Johnson makes public statement about relationship. Elena clicked the link with shaking hands. The article was short, just a few paragraphs, but every word mattered. Local businessman Caleb Johnson issued a statement Thursday evening regarding his relationship with Elena Moore, the woman photographed with him earlier this week. "I want to set the record straight about something important to me," Johnson said. "Elena Moore is not just my driver. She's the woman I love. She's kind, intelligent, hardworking, and the best person I know. Anyone who has a problem with that is welcome to direct their concerns to me personally." Johnson went on to address speculation about their relationship. "Elena didn't pursue me. I pursued her. She didn't take advantage of our professional relationship. I did, because I couldn't help falling for someone who saw me as a person instead of a bank account." The statement concluded, "I'm proud to be with Elena. I'm proud of the woman she is and the life we're building together. And I won't apologize for loving someone just because other people don't understand it." Elena read the statement 3 times before it sank in. Caleb had done it. He'd gone public, not with excuses or explanations, but with pride. Her phone rang. Caleb. "Did you see it?" he asked. "I saw it." Elena's voice was shaky. "Caleb, you really did it. We did it. This is us now. Public, official, real." Elena looked around her small apartment, at the life she'd built, at the person she'd become. "I love you," she said. "I love you too. So what happens now?" "Now? Now we live our lives, together, out loud." Elena smiled, feeling lighter than she had in weeks. "I like the sound of that." "Good, because I have a proposition for you." "What kind of proposition?" "The company is hosting an open house this weekend for the affordable housing project. Local residents, potential investors, community leaders, I want you there, with me, not as my driver, as my girlfriend." Elena's heart jumped. "Caleb, are you sure?" "I've never been more sure of anything. Elena, I want to show you off. I want everyone to see what I see when I look at you." "And what's that?" "Home," Caleb said simply. "You're my home." Saturday afternoon, Elena stood outside the community center where Caleb's open house was being held. She was wearing her best dress, a simple blue one her mother had helped her pick out years ago. She'd done her hair and makeup carefully, but she still felt nervous. "You look beautiful," her father said, appearing beside her. "Dad, what are you doing here?" "My daughter's boyfriend is presenting his work to the community." "You think I'm going to miss that?" Elena felt tears prick her eyes. "Thank you." "For what?" "For being proud of me, even when it's complicated." Maggie squeezed her hand. "It's not complicated, sweetheart. You love a good man who loves you back. Everything else is just details." They walked into the community center together. Elena saw familiar faces from the neighborhood mixed with people in expensive suits. At the front of the room, Caleb was setting up his presentation. When he saw her, his whole face changed. He excused himself from the investor he was talking to and walked straight to her. "You came," he said. "You invited me?" "I was hoping you would." Caleb looked at Maggie. "Mr. Moore, thank you for coming. Wouldn't miss it. This is important work you're doing. It's important to me." "Your daughter's important to me." Maggie nodded approvingly. "Good answer." As people took their seats, Elena found herself sitting in the front row between her father and Simone, who had arrived just moments before. "Nervous?" Simone asked quietly. "Terrified," Elena admitted. "Good. That means you care." Caleb took the stage, looking confident and professional. He talked about the housing project, about affordable homes for working families, about building community instead of just buildings. But then he did something unexpected. "Before I finish," he said, "I want to talk about something personal. This project matters to me because I understand what it's like to need a safe, affordable place to call home. But it also matters because of someone who reminded me why I got into this business in the first place." Caleb's eyes found Elena in the crowd. "Her name is Elena Moore. She's sitting right there in the front row. She's my girlfriend, and she's the reason I remember that business is about people, not just profit." Elena felt every eye in the room turn to her. Her face went hot, but she didn't look away from Caleb. Elena grew up in this neighborhood. She knows what it's like to work hard and still struggle to pay rent. She knows what it's like to choose between groceries and medicine. She also knows what it's like to take care of family and show up for people who need you. Caleb's voice grew stronger. "Some people think Elena isn't appropriate for me because she doesn't have money or fancy degrees. But I think she's perfect for me because she understands what really matters. She understands that home isn't about square footage or property values. It's about the people you love and the life you build together." The room was completely silent. So when you drive by these homes in a few months, when you see families moving in and kids playing in the yards, I want you to remember that this project exists because a woman named Elena Moore reminded me that everyone deserves a place to call home, including me. Caleb smiled directly at Elena. "And I found mine." The room erupted in applause. Elena felt tears streaming down her cheeks, but she was smiling so hard her face hurt. After the presentation, as people mingled and talked, Elena found herself surrounded by neighbors and community members. That was beautiful. "Honey," said Mrs. Patterson from next door. "Your young man is quite something," added Mr. Rodriguez from the grocery store. But the comment that mattered most came from a woman Elena didn't recognize. "I'm Sarah Williams," the woman said. "I'm one of Caleb's new investors. I just wanted to say thank you." "For what?" "For making him real. I've known Caleb professionally for years, but I've never seen him like this. Happy, grounded, like he knows what he's fighting for." Elena looked across the room at Caleb, who was talking animatedly with her father about something car-related. "He makes me real too," Elena said. "That's what love is supposed to do." As the evening wound down, Elena and Caleb walked to her car together, the same car where this had all started, where they'd shared water bottles and talked about Beatles music and fallen in love one conversation at a time. "So," Caleb said, "how was that? Being my official girlfriend at a public event?" Elena considered this. "Terrifying, wonderful, right. Yeah? Yeah," Elena smiled. "I think I like being yours in public." "Good, because I plan on being yours for a very long time." "How long are we talking?" Caleb stopped walking and turned to face her. "How does forever sound?" Elena's heart skipped. Like a good start. Caleb kissed her then, right there in the community center parking lot, with half the neighborhood probably watching. Elena didn't care. Let them watch, let them talk. This was her life, her choice, her love, and she was done hiding it. 6 months later, Elena woke up on a Saturday morning to the smell of coffee and the sound of laughter from the kitchen. She padded out to find Caleb and her father arguing good-naturedly about the best way to fix a leaky faucet. "Morning, sweetheart," Maggie said. "Your boyfriend thinks he knows about plumbing now." "I watched a YouTube video," Caleb said defensively. "YouTube," Maggie scoffed. "In my day, we learned from our fathers." "My father wasn't around to teach me about faucets," Caleb said simply. "Well then," Maggie said, his voice gentler, "I guess I'll have to teach you myself." Elena leaned against the doorway, watching the two most important men in her life bond over household repairs. It wasn't the life she'd planned, but it was the life she'd chosen, and it was perfect. Her phone buzzed, a text from Mrs. Rivera. "Pick up at 2 p.m. for church, and bring that handsome man of yours. The ladies want to meet him properly." Elena smiled. Some things never changed. She was still driving, still taking care of people, still Elena Moore from the neighborhood. But now she was also Caleb's girlfriend, his partner, his home. "What are you smiling about?" Caleb asked, appearing beside her with a cup of coffee. "Just thinking about how different everything is now." "Better different or worse different?" Elena looked at him, at this man who'd risked his reputation for her, who'd chosen love over fear, who made her father laugh and remembered Mrs. Rivera's church schedule. "Better," she said. "Definitely better. Even with all the gossip and drama and complications. Especially because of the gossip and drama and complications. It means we fought for this. We earned it." Caleb set down his coffee and pulled her close. "I love you, Elena Moore. I love you too, Caleb Johnson." As they stood in her tiny kitchen, holding each other while her father muttered about YouTube plumbers in the background, Elena realized something important. Love wasn't about being perfect. It wasn't about fitting together easily or making sense to other people. Love was about choosing each other every day, despite the complications and the gossip and the differences in their bank accounts. Love was about showing up, being brave, fighting for what mattered. And as Elena looked at Caleb, this man who'd seen her worth before she'd seen it herself, she knew they'd keep fighting, keep choosing each other, keep building something real and messy and beautiful, together, always together. Outside, Mrs. Rivera was probably getting ready for church. The neighbors were probably already talking about something new. The world was spinning on, full of opinions and judgments, and people who thought they knew better. But inside Elena's kitchen, in the arms of the man she loved, with her father's laughter echoing from the next room, everything was exactly as it should be. Simple, real, true. And that was more than enough. It was everything.